start. So all day long, the e-lightning talks will be in this webinar. And the webinar is going to open and close because I have Zoom meetings for the breakout sessions, but it will be open promptly on time at 11 and 3 and 4:30, and you just click on the same one. And then I'm going to just show you, since some of you are new to this thing, if you go to the, and I think I put it in the chat once, so I'll do it again. There is the iPoster gallery. If you go to the gallery and you click here to view iPosters, you can go up to see all of the posters by browse sessions, or you can get the appropriate session, 9:30 to 10:45, session 1. It sorts only the 9 posters that are in session 1. And if you click on any of them, so after the e-lightning webinar here, we're going to close the webinar. You'll go to this place. You can view the poster, but if you want to talk to Shannon, you click on live session, and there's a Zoom link that automatically joins you with Shannon in that session. When you leave that session, you can come back to this website, go back to the poster gallery, find someone else's poster, and talk to them. And that will be open from the end of the webinar, 9:45-ish to 10:45 in those Zoom meetings. So does that make sense to everybody? Let's go. Taylor, are you ready, or do you want Shannon to go first?
I am ready if you are.
Awesome. So Taylor is going to go with this approximately 2-minute introduction to her poster, and you can share screen. You can do whatever you want.
Here, I'll turn mine on. I'm going to guess that hopefully everyone maybe has the posters up, but I feel like it'd be nice to see a face. Hello, everyone. Happy Earth Day. So my poster today is examining microplastics that have been found on Nantucket Island, along with the methods that are being used when processing these samples that have been collected. And so sand and seal scat samples were collected from 3 locations along Nantucket at different times of the year in 2019 and 2020. And within these samples, sand separation processes and were conducted to see any plastics that have been collected in these samples, as well as density separation processes to kind of further look at the smaller samples that have been sieved through the smaller mesh sizes. But seal scat will also be processed this summer kind of in the same manner of my sand separation, which if you are looking at the poster, you'll kind of see the methods right there that kind of go over what we're doing. So we have found microplastics at all 3 sample sites on Nantucket. So this research has and kind of will continue to help us understand microplastic abundance and the variants, as well as kind of provide a baseline for future studies on microplastics and microfibers. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or you want to go over, my poster will kind of give you an overview of what I'm kind of doing right now, and also what hopefully I'll be doing this summer.
Thank you so much, Taylor, for leading us off and giving us a great introduction into the poster. Look forward to talking to you over there as soon as this is over. Shannon Davis.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. It's good to, I guess, see you in the same Zoom call. I'm Shannon Davis. I'm in Bob Chen's lab, so good to be back and have my advisor in the same room. I'm going to be talking about my posters about coastal acidification monitoring in Duxbury Harbor. And so as you guys know, we're adding CO2 to the atmosphere from burning fossil fuels. About 30% of that atmospheric carbon dioxide ends up in the ocean, and that affects the pH of our ocean. And so we've already seen a drop of about 0.1 pH units since the Industrial Revolution, and we're expected to see another 0.2 to 0.4 by 2100. The pH scale is logarithmic, so these changes are a lot more than they appear. So a change of 0.5 pH units is 216% more acidic, which is potentially what we'll be seeing by 2100. In the coastal oceans, we have coastal acidification, which can be basically happens with localized effects. So things like rain events, phytoplankton blooms, winds, tides, even diurnal variability can change sort of localized acidification. Coastal acidification changes the availability of calcium carbonate, which shellfish rely on to build their shells. And in the coastal ocean specifically is where a lot of shellfish aquaculture is done. So it can really affect the shellfish industry and the aquaculture industry. So specifically for this poster, I'm talking about our initial deployment of an ocean acidification sensor suite in Duxbury Harbor, where there is a lot of aquaculture going on. I'm talking about this, this deployment of the sensor that measures pH and PCO2 at really high resolution. And we had it out for 10 days, and we were able to see drops in pH down to 7.3, which is a lot lower than the open ocean, which is about 8.1. And the aragonite saturation, when it drops below 1, stresses out and actively is dissolving oysters, which we saw that happen a few times over our deployment as well. And so if you want to learn more about this, we can come talk in the poster session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Our next speaker is Isaac Rosenthal, Kelp from Space.
Yeah, hey everybody. Thanks. My name's Isaac. I'm going to be presenting some work from my PhD, which is focused on bringing citizen science into the classroom. So at most colleges, non-science majors are going to take only a couple of STEM classes, and in many cases just one, which can sort of, it can create a silent issue in that a lot of these students would likely benefit from a deeper understanding of STEM topics than they're getting, but they don't even realize. So like for an example, a business major that's applying for jobs at pharmaceutical companies might benefit from a working knowledge of biology or chemistry that they might not get from their general classes. And in addition to not taking many of these classes, often these classes are pretty prescribed lecture classes, like very teaching by telling style approaches, which it prioritizes content knowledge, but not so much the epistemology of science and sort of like what science actually is and the nature of it. So over the years of discussions of educational reform, active learning is definitely the thing that has come up the most as sort of one of the best ways to turbocharge these classroom experiences, but it can be hard to do. So one way to do active learning in the classroom is to use citizen science, and sort of not so much the issue, but the unknown here is that it's mostly been studied in informal contexts like museum education. So speaking broadly, participation in citizen science, it's been shown to improve people's understanding of data literacy, scientific self-confidence, with local projects that improves their connection to the environment. And we're really interested to see if these benefits that we know about in informal education hold among non-free choice learners when we take it into the classroom. So we designed curriculum for undergraduate STEM courses that leverages an online citizen science project in which users go online and classify kelp. And we leverage this to create a college course, or a college lesson, sorry, for a lab course that's sort of a very active hands-on experience. We piloted this at 5 institutions last fall, and this spring we reached over 1,200 students. In order to evaluate whether or not we were successful, we administered a pre and a post survey to these students that looks at their self-efficacy in 3 areas, so content knowledge, data literacy, and their capacity to contribute to science. And so far we've seen small gains in all of these areas, which is really exciting considering it's honestly a pretty low footprint activity for them to do. So I look forward to talking to you guys more.
Wonderful. Thank you, Isaac. And I assume there's some links to your program within your poster.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in there.
Very cool. Our next speaker is Brian Courtney, but I think he was not here, right? So our next speaker is Caitlin Fitzmaurice.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin and I'm an intern with the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary. My poster is going to look at our citizen science research program. It's called the Stellwagen Sanctuary Seabird Stewards, and we go out with a trained group of volunteers to collect seabird data in the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary. So we'll take a look at the sanctuary itself, a little bit about our program and how it works, and then finally some of our first results for our past 10 years of data collection.
Thank you, Caitlin. And our last e-lightning speaker is Lucy Lockwood.
Good morning, everybody. I think this constitutes a Chen Lab meeting here with 3 of us in one room. So as many of you know, I'm an intertidal ecologist who's been focused on the impacts that coastal protection structures such as seawalls, bulkheads, the rock armoring like we have along the harbor walk, these kind of unnatural human-made shores that we are seeing more and more of worldwide as climate change creates more frequent storms, more intense storms, and sea level rise. And of course, this is coming at a time where the human species has settled and built more and more in coastal areas. And so this drives demands for coastal protection in the form often of pouring concrete or rock armoring of shores. So how does this impact the marine organisms that normally live in that range, that intertidal range between high tide and the point where the water goes out to the minimum of low tide, and also into those shallow kind of near shore areas? So if we go into that shallow subtidal area. Well, this is actually, you say, why does it matter? It matters in the sense that these coastal ecosystems provide a lot of ecosystem services. Everything from the seaweed that's growing there that provides food and water quality, improves water quality along the coast. We have a lot of filter feeders. So you think of your shellfish that are also working to provide better quality water and provide food higher up in the food web. And there are a lot of forage fish that come in and feed right along the coast. And the various during reproduction and juvenile stages of a lot of marine organisms. So this area is one that we want to keep biodiverse, we want to keep resilient, and we want to have good habitat. Now, if you're a marine organism, a flat concrete wall is not a happy place to try to make your home because it has no shelter for you. It doesn't provide good sources of food. You can get dried out at low tide. You can get washed away by waves. So my work has been looking at ways that we could either better design new walls if we needed to replace something. We don't want to actually be building a whole lot more walls, but if we're replacing a broken structure, or are there ways that we could retrofit existing structures that would provide more habitat, better quality habitat for all these marine organisms? So to do that, I had a pilot project that's now been extended another year so that we get to see kind of the transition from the beginning to kind of having a second year here. And what we did is we put out tiles. We created tiles that had different surface features and different surface textures, so that again, you're getting away from just having that flat concrete wall kind of effect. So I'd be in my poster and happy to talk to you about kind of the early results of that, of looking at crevices and in these tiles and looking at embedded shells that we did in the tiles and how the fun of making concrete tiles. I've learned more about concrete and concrete pouring than I ever thought I would. So I'd like to see you there.
Thank you so much, Lucy. And thank you to all of our e-lightning speakers this morning. I've been to a number of these e-lightning sessions, and you guys have set the bar high as models of how to do a quick introduction, but also engaging and informative. So congratulations on that. I'm going to close this webinar, and I will see you. Enjoy zipping around in the meetings, talking to the poster presenters. There are the e-lightning presenters as well as others. So feel free to come in and out of those Zoom meetings through the iPoster gallery. And I will see you back on this webinar for session 2 at 11 o'clock. Thank you all, and enjoy the poster interactions.